That is the question, Philip.
That is the question. Let me get myself lined up so I can say, greetings, groovers. How are you doing? Welcome to Full Record Jacket with Phil and Ben. I'm Phil, and there is Ben. So we said we'd go live, Ben. We're not live. We're just doing it live. It's live for us. It's not live for you, but
it's live for me.
It's live for me as well. So I had no plan. Not that we ever normally have much of a plan.
No.
What have you been doing?
Well, to be fair, Phil, I've not really done a lot this week. I've almost got through my second week without buying any vinyl.
Wow.
Well done. And then I bought one. But you're okay with the one that I bought. And you didn't have to go, who?
Okay. So, are you going to show, or do you have it there?
I can show. Would you like?
Let's quickly see.
Because we do have a running gag. Don't know whether it's funny or not.
Oh,
Probably
I know
not,
what this is. I know what this is. Yeah.
Okay. That I haven't embraced the Beach Boys. Mainly because I find the harmonies all just...
You're yet to hug a Wilson, although maybe...
I have hugged a Wilson.
Now, that's an album which I have seen with a different cover, because that was recorded in very recently, was it? It was 2021, I say recently. It's like 3 years ago.
Yeah, there's an alternative cover with an older Brian Wilson
on it. That's the one I've seen. So it is the same album. He never did that in the 70s. It looks, that picture's from the, late 60s, early 70s. But, it's basically Brian Wilson alone at his piano, isn't it? Playing the tunes.
Playing the tunes, yeah.
Making them sound a bit more like a Californian version of Debussy or Chopin or something.
Or the Out Here Brothers.
Yeah, what did you think of it? Have you played it yet?
No, because as you can see by the rather shot, it's still in the cellophane. I've been listening to that small... I've literally only this week finished really delving into the Red and Blue album. I feel a bit Beatles'd out. Is that possible?
You've had a fab overdose.
I think I've had a fab overdose. I think it's been on my record player for 2 weeks, and I just think I've hit my Beatles wall. I've driven through it. So
it is possible to have a fab overdose. You could always have too much of a good thing, can't you? So that's...
You can indeed. So so I went for a bit of Brian Wilson, but apart from that, I haven't bought any vinyl. So I'm doing good.
Well, when you told me the other day you bought that Brian Wilson LP, and I have not ever heard it, so I checked it out. I streamed it, and it's quite nice. I quite enjoyed it. But I know virtually all those tunes on there. I just wonder if you're not a Beach Boys fan, although some of them are hits that everybody's kind of heard. But if you're not a Beach Boys fan and you don't know all those songs, wonder what it's like just hearing them done solo on the piano. Because when I hear them, it kind of fills in the lyrics, and the bits sort of fill in my head while I'm listening to it.
Well, if I go through side one, I know God Only Knows.
Yeah.
Don't Know In My Room. Don't Know Don't Worry Baby. I know California Girls. Don't Know The Warmth of the Sun. I know Wouldn't It Be Nice. And I Don't Know You Still Believe in Me. Side two, I don't know.
I just folks, can't you, that he's never listened to Pet Sounds?
Yeah.
Do continue, Ben.
I just wasn't made for these times. Don't know it. Sketches of Smile. Don't know it. Surf's Up. Don't know it.
Well, Sketches of Smile is like a little medley of tunes from the Smile project.
It does say there, medley.
Yeah.
End there. Friends. Don't know that one. Till I Die. Don't know that one. Love and Mercy. Don't know that one.
I must admit, I don't know Love and Mercy. Friends was an interesting one because it came on and I knew the tune and I was racking my brains trying to think what song it was. It took me about half a minute to work out which song it was. I don't know why it took me that long, but...
And then Mount Vernon Farewell. Don't know that one. And then the last track, Good Vibrations, which I think Mojo, or what's the other sort of little bit more grown up one than Q? There's Mojo. It might be Mojo. Voted.
Uncut.
Might have been, no, it must be Mojo. Voted, I remember, back in the late 90s, voted Good Vibrations as the best single of all time. So it came on a free CD that I got with it. So, but yeah, like I said, 70% of that album I don't know.
So that will be interesting. Now, I'd say I did stream that the other day. I've got a CD that I had on earlier, and this is one of my albums that I can include in my list of you can't stream this, because I'm afraid, folks, you can't stream this. This is an album that came out in 2004. This is the CD sleeve. Oh, it looks like a little LP. It's the CD case. Took it
Is
out
that
of the case.
Twiggy? Nancy Sinatra?
It does look like Twiggy, but it is actually Nancy Sinatra. And this is an album that came out in 2004. So I don't know how old Nancy would have been at that time. I think she's in her mid-70s now. So what was that, 20 years ago? So she must have been in a...
Is she still alive?
She's still alive, yeah. So she must have been...
Nat King Cole's daughter that died, wasn't it?
Yeah. So she must have been in her mid-50s when she made this album. I'm going to have to shine a torch on it because it's got... On the back, the print is so small, I can hardly read it. I'm getting too old. There's songs on here. Well, there's 2 Jarvis Cocker songs on here, which he gave to Nancy Sinatra before he'd done them himself. And
that's a crossover you would never think. If there was 2 people you would never think are going to meet.
Well, you see, Nancy Sinatra's a bit of a cult artist, isn't she? She's considered cool because she did those albums with Lee Hazelwood in the 60s, and Morrissey is a big fan of her. In fact, Morrissey was friends with her. Do you remember there was a documentary on TV going back to, I think it may have been the 90s, but it was when Morrissey was living in Los Angeles, and they did a documentary about him called something like Being Morrissey or Living Morrissey's Life.
I do vaguely remember.
And he was
before I'd got into Morrissey.
Well,
I've been in Morrissey.
He had Nancy Sinatra over for dinner. He was
really?
He had Nancy Sinatra over for dinner, and he made her toast because that was all he knew how to make. And I don't know whether he's still friends with her now, because she's a bit political on Twitter. She's very Democrat, and Morrissey said a few things that are maybe considered to be on the right of the political spectrum. So whether they get on still, I don't know. But anyway, let's not go into that.
See, I only have one issue with Morrissey.
Yeah.
When he's on stage, ill-fitting jeans, black shoes.
Yeah, maybe. Good point.
You shouldn't be going out in black shoes. Black shoes are for weddings, funerals, and work, not...
Well, his song on here is Let Me Kiss You, which I think he may have done on one of his albums. It's got the line in there, close your eyes and think of someone you physically admire and let me kiss you. And if you open your eyes and see someone you physically despise or something like that. But typical Morrissey. But yeah, there's two Jarvis Cocker songs on here. Ain't No Easy Way? No, Don't Let Him Waste Your Time. That's one of them. And Baby's Coming Back to Me, which I think were both done on his album Jarvis.
I think I've got that album.
Yeah, in the late 2000s. There's a fantastic track that opens this, written by Joey Burns from the band Calexico. It's kind of like a Mexican... It sounds like something that should be on the soundtrack of a Western or a Quentin Tarantino
Calexico
movie.
Sounds like a really cheap discount electrical store.
It's a really good track. There's a track on here as well, written by Thurston Moore of Sonic Youth. It's got him playing guitar on it. It kind of sounds like Nancy Sinatra fronting Sonic Youth. That's kind of cool. And there's a track by Steve Van Zandt from Bruce Springsteen's band that rocks well. And a few other tracks as well. There's also the closing track is a song that Bono and The Edge from U2 wrote in the 90s. Bono was wanting to get this song recorded by Frank Sinatra, and it never happened. And then Sinatra died. And it was called Two Shots of Happy. Yeah, 2 shots of happy, 1 shot of sad. And it's like a saloon song, like one of those sort of late night ballads. And Nancy recorded it with slightly changed lyrics, so it becomes a sort of tribute to her father, but it's done in this sort of mellow, late night piano, late night jazz style. Very good. It's a really good album. It's worth streaming. Well, you can't stream it, but you can go on YouTube and you can stream it.
I shall have to give it a listen once I've got through the mountain of other things.
So
Beyond the Pale is what I've got of Jarvis.
But it was well. I looked it up on Wikipedia. It was well reviewed at the time, and they said it. A lot of the reviewers said it was as good as her early stuff. So Nancy Sinatra 2004 album on Attack Records is worth checking out. That's my cult favourite for tonight.
Oh, really? I'm just going into it now. She's quite an attractive lady in a day, wasn't she?
She was fine in a day. Yeah.
I keep going to say Nancy Sinatra. Like,
also, if you're turned on by boots, she had some boots.
She did, and she's actually released quite a lot of. I'm literally just skimming through on Discogs to find that album, see what formats it was released in, and she has released a lot of stuff. I never sort of paid her much mind.
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's hardly ever heard. The album with Lee Hazelwood is highly regarded. She also
found it here. 2004 it came out in.
Yeah. Is there a vinyl version of that?
Let's have a look. It's classed as rock, pop, vocal, lounge. Yeah. There are 16 versions available. CD, 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 CD.
Yeah, I don't think it's
didn't get released on vinyl. 2004 wasn't the
peak of vinyl comeback, was it? But
no,
that would be a cult album that would be quite sought after if they did a limited run on vinyl. If that some company wants to do that, I reckon that should be done.
Yeah. I shall try and give it a listen. But you know, I've got a lot of stuff to listen to.
Well, if you like things like Quentin Tarantino soundtracks, check out "Burning Down the Spark" by Nancy Sinatra.
It's funny you mention it actually, because I know I'm trying to not feed the habit, which is also what skinny nuns say. But that's a really awful joke, wasn't it? But the Pulp Fiction soundtrack is on that well-known purchasing site. There it is.
Oh yeah.
For $12.99
on vinyl.
On vinyl, and I'm very, very tempted, but obviously I'm not allowed to buy it. But I am quite tempted to buy it, but I'm not going to buy it because I've said that I'm not going to buy it. So I'm being good by not buying it. But I'm going to see what the track listing is on that. So I don't think Nancy. I keep going to say Nancy Sinatra.
She's not on there. Nancy Sinatra was used on the Kill Bill soundtrack.
Yeah.
Bang Bang My Baby Shot Me Down, the opening.
That's it. Wasn't that re-released? Was it Propeller Heads or somebody re-released that?
Yeah, there have been lots of versions. I think Cher did a slightly more up-tempo version originally, had the hit with it. And I think the Nancy Sinatra version is more of an album track that Tarantino found.
Oh, here we go. Do you want to know what's on the album?
What, the Pulp Fiction one?
Yeah.
Well, I've got it. I mean, it's Jungle Boogie and Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon, and I've got it. Statler Brothers is on there, isn't it? And,
is it worth buying?
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a Tarantino soundtrack, but I mean, you can stream it if you want to.
Yeah, but it's not the same, is it, Phil?
No,
it's not the same.
Put it on in your car, decide whether you like it, and then you can buy it if you really want it.
Yeah, I suppose I could. Yeah, I could.
It's all stuff that it's typical Tarantino soundtrack. It's all curated stuff that's been out before. He just found things from everywhere.
Don't just hate it because a lot of these soundtracks, especially Tarantino, I have got the Baby Driver soundtrack, which is a good soundtrack. I've been after Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey soundtrack, but anyway, when you hear like Tarantino soundtracks, you're just like, why that? If I'd heard that song, I would probably wouldn't have paid it any mind. But once it's in the film, it's like it just sounds like Jungle Boogie. That song could quite easily annoy me. Yeah. But once it's in the film, you're like, oh God. Sometimes you hear albums like you can be in like one of these cafes. They've got an album on, and you're like, I'd never thought of buying that, but that sounds mega. But I guarantee as soon as I get at home, I won't like it as much. I think I've got the Pulp Fiction soundtrack on CD.
You must
Is that
have.
sort of thing, CDs?
Yeah, everybody had it, didn't they? In the 1994.
Yeah.
Can't remember all the other songs that are on it now, but
I'll tell you who didn't have it. John Lennon. He didn't have it. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Brian Jones, he didn't have it.
Yeah, I also heard that Ian Curtis also didn't own it either. But let's
Mama
not
Cass, Jimi Hendrix.
Too big a list.
So, but yeah, no. Apart from that, Phil, in an elongated 15 minutes and 36 second answer to your question is, I am doing good. I have not fed the habit too much. I think one vinyl for the month so far is pretty good for me. So. And I've been listening to lots of other music that I probably wouldn't have listened to, so go figure.
Thanks, viewers. We'll be back with another video very shortly, and maybe, just maybe, Ben will have taken that beanie off his head, but don't bet on it. Bye for now.